Hello, everyone, and welcome to this instalment of Burridge and Tom Rambling On. My name is Tom, and as always, I am joined by my good friend Burridge.
Yes, hello, that is me. I hope you're all having an enchanting day. Let's have a look at our topics today, shall we?
In this episode, we will be looking at the events of Reddit's r/place,
I now own an iPad Pro.
flexing, and Amazon attempting to rival SpaceX's Starlink. Let's get into this, shall we?
Yes.
So, that time of year has come and gone again, the day where you can't take anything seriously, and when Reddit decides to run its annual social experiment. So, Reddit has, in lieu of April 1st pranks, Reddit has run social experiments previously. Before they switched to social experiments, they replaced Reddit Gold with Reddit Mold for a day. That was one. One of the most famous social experiments was the button, where if people didn't press the button after a certain amount of time, it would die or something. I'm not really sure. That was the thing. But everyone's favourite by a long shot was 2017's r/place. So the way it worked was there was a 1,000 pixel by 1,000 pixel canvas upon which users can place one pixel every 5 minutes of, I think it was like 8 colours at the time. Obviously, this time it was a bit different, but the aim is to determine what is in the current zeitgeist, what's popular in the now, of Reddit in particular, be it through memes, artworks, or just general disorganisation. So, previously on r/place, one of the most famous works was the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. That was quite a big one. The Rocket League logo featured quite prominently on the original r/place. You know, it's an interesting snapshot of 2017. Well, they brought it back again. This time, they needed to quadruple the canvas size by the end of it because of just how many people were using it. It's really interesting to see how much bigger Reddit's active user base was this time round, comparatively. I mean, obviously, a lot of it was still bots, but yeah, Tom spent a lot of time on r/place. Probably somewhere around 40 hours, either monitoring, building, or defending projects. It was a hell of a work. Yeah, it was a lot of effort to defend some colourful pixels.
I've never seen the 2017 one, so I've just found it.
Have you not?
And it's
I've
weird
got a poster of it on my wall here.
because
behind me.
they've got the Osu is still there.
Yeah, Osu came back.
GNU Linux was still there. Like, they still managed to get one in. The connection lost. Please wait. Attempted to re-establish RuneScape.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom of the previous one, it's Windows 95.
Yes, there's this
time round they upgraded to XP.
Yeah.
They started off redoing the 95, but then I think someone in the project was like, hold on, this is an upgrade, we need to upgrade. So they went to XP.
But one other thing I noticed was in the 2017 one, it just says unregistered hypercom.
Yes.
Instead of hypercam.
The post I have does have that edited to say cam. I'm not going to put unregistered hypercom on my wall.
Although
one of the funny things is on the Atlas, or in one of the closest to finished pictures I currently have of the project, it still does say lttstore.com. So,
but whereas this time round, like the Total Biscuit thing that Asmongold's community did was wonderful.
That was good.
It got destroyed a little bit towards the end there, which I'm sad about. But
a lot of things
did.
What
it is.
A lot of big art got destroyed. As much as I dislike how much space the French took up, the art they made in that bottom corner was
my god, yeah,
actually amazing.
Oh, the Anakin versus Obi-Wan's death. They managed to get a second one in.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
look at
the
that.
Star Wars lot are kind of nuts.
Yes,
in terms of
yes, they are.
What they do. But it was a great time. It was exceedingly stressful at times. I think it was the most diplomatic I've ever been with strangers on the internet. It's like we'd be working on a project, and I'd just start getting messages from various groups next to us, like, "Yo, can we make like a defense pact or something?" Or like
the stats. So
oh,
subscribers, I'm not sure what that means in Reddit terms. On the wiki,
people who are
here.
on a subreddit.
So 228,000 were in 2017. Any guesses for this one?
Over 1 million.
And then some.
And then somehow, like 3 million?
4.6 million.
4.6 million. Ouch. That's a lot.
That is crazy. So the experiment was so the first one doesn't really give stats. Oh, maybe it does. Over 1 million unique users edited the canvas on the 2017. Doesn't seem to be any.
I do have the full stat set downloaded.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't accessed it yet because it's in some sort of scuffed format.
Oh, God.
When I say some sort of scuffed format, I mean it's in a Linux format that my Windows doesn't like. So.
Oh, is it's zipped?
Yeah, it's some form of scuffed zip.
Yeah, you need 7-zip, man. That's it.
No, I tried opening it in 7-zip and it just doesn't.
Huh.
Unsupported command does not work.
Must be scuffed then, because 7-zip opens everything.
Oh wait, no, hold on. No, okay. So if I do it through a very specific order of actions, it will open. But I'm not opening it because I'm fairly certain the size of the Excel file will crash my laptop while I'm doing this. So I'll wait until after the podcast to have a look. But yeah, if you do want to follow more closely what I was up to, there is a write-up on taspeed.com.
Yes, it's a very good write-up.
Go have a gander.
Yeah.
I wrote the write-up in like an hour on the train versus the 40 hours I spent actually placing pixels. So. It's okay. We're like a week on from the event, and someone who worked with me is still like trying to get the video about it that they made rendered. So,
oh really?
Their Premiere Pro crashed like 3 times while trying to render.
Well, that's just Premiere Pro.
That's just Adobe for you. What to expect?
Just Adobe.
Yeah. Let's move on to what has Burridge bought this week.
Well, yeah, this is a change in format.
This is a bit of a switcheroo.
We're shaking it up here at Burridge and Tom podcast. No, so I for a while now have been considering getting myself an M1 chipped device.
M1 motorway.
Yes. For writing or even just doing a bit of coding on the side, because I now have a remote office desktop sort of setup I can use. And it'll be useful for when I'm away, so I was looking into how I wanted to do it. And I settled on the iPad Pro. Now, specifically, I'm talking about the iPad Pro 2021, which is the latest model for the Pro. I have got the 256 gig SSD, or storage one, which means it has 8 gigabytes of RAM and an 8-core CPU/GPU. So there's 8 cores of CPU and 8 cores of GPU in a tablet.
It's quite mad, really.
It's insane. So the last episode 20 of this podcast, was rendered using the iPad.
Ooh.
Luckily, nothing went horribly wrong with the render.
Yeah.
But no, it went quite well. I used so for reference, my desktop is an 8700K i7 with a GTX 1080, dated, but still very functional. And it still renders things very quickly. So I was quite shocked when my iPad Pro matched it. My iPad matched my desktop. Kind of. Yeah. I certainly wasn't because the episode. What was the episode like? An hour and a bit. So my PC would probably take about 20 minutes to get that fully rendered, because obviously it's only audio. So to get it rendered, I don't think render is the right term when it's just audio, but there we are.
I don't know what the correct term would be.
Encoded, maybe? I don't know. But either way, the iPad did the last episode in about the same sort of time, if not a little bit less. So I had to do it in a slightly different way because I record the podcast using OBS because we're not in the same room to start, so I can't use something like Audacity to run through several, because ideally I'd record this using Audacity, just straight up audio.
Yeah.
However, we're not in the same room on the same studio using the same computer with multiple microphone inputs. Audacity only lets me record using inputs, and I can't record the output, so I can't record Tom speaking to me without a lot of tomfoolery involved, which I'm not going to bother doing. So that meant I had to render each audio track separately on my PC, which I wouldn't normally do because waste of time, and I won't do it for this episode really because it was just because I wanted to test out the iPad. I then stuck it in my iCloud storage, and then I rendered it using the iPad from there, because I couldn't just take the MP4 file that I would have remaining from here and put it across. Wasn't liking it at all. So I rendered the two. Well, the thing is, I think the problem was as well, I wasn't using a video editor, I was using an actual sound editor, so it wouldn't accept an MP4 either.
Makes sense.
So I used an app called SoundLab to edit. It was okay. I'm so used to doing things on a desktop that I think if I was ever going to do that again, I'd want something like an iMac or something with Mac OS over iPad OS or iOS.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I was just amazed by the fact that my tablet is as quick at rendering things as my actual full desktop PC is. Kind of crazy that we're in that, we're in that day and age where my tablet is nearly as powerful as my desktop is in
Your
one
tablet
sense.
is one spicy boy.
Yeah. Well, you've got to think, my 700K is 6 physical cores and 12 threads, whereas what I have here is 8 physical cores.
Yeah.
So, it's not far off. And it's in a tablet. It's insane, and it's not exactly a thick tablet either. It's not that chunky.
It's a thick boy.
No. I have complaints about it. Well, of course.
Nothing's perfect.
Nothing is perfect. Some apps on iPad OS, because I need to stress this, iPad OS is not iOS.
They have similar letters, but they are not the same.
iOS is the phone OS. iPad OS is for you guessed it, the iPads. And Mac OS is for the MacBooks, the iMacs, the MacBook Pro, all that sort of stuff.
And all those other fun things.
Yes. However, iPad OS seems to fall behind on some things over my iOS counterpart, so my iPhone 12 in this case. My iPhone 12 lets me make all apps default to dark mode. Sometimes, irregardless of whether they have dark mode on the app or not. iPad OS does not have that option. I can make my UI all dark and it's fine. But some apps don't support dark mode on iPad OS, one of them being Facebook. Now, obviously, that's not a big loss to me, it's Facebook, but it's still worth noting. However, some apps are also the direct ports of their iOS counterparts, such as my PayPal, Instagram, and even Acast, actually.
Oh.
So I use the iPad in landscape generally, because I set it up like a notebook.
Yeah. That's how most people use a tablet, to be honest.
So on those situations, if I was to open Instagram, I'd be viewing it as if I was on a phone.
Right, okay.
In landscape mode, so it would just be in the middle with bars around the side. Which is obviously not ideal when I'm in landscape mode.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that. And the thing is, because of the hardware that's in this thing, I wish I had the choice of selecting Mac OS or iPad OS, because this thing could just run Mac OS.
Yeah.
The problem is Mac OS doesn't support touchscreen.
Yeah, desktop OSs have traditionally been a bit annoying with touchscreen.
Yes, but then again, for me personally, I don't care, because I'd rather not touch the screen over it like I'm doing now.
Touch, poke.
So yeah, it's a bit of a shame that the OS feels like it falls behind in some places where iOS does all this already. So out of the two, I think I prefer iOS.
Yeah.
But the iPad OS, particularly for this tablet, does have a lot of tricks when multitasking, which obviously with the M1 chip I can take full advantage of. And it's super snappy, super quick, does what I want, and just it feels so good to use. I'm hoping by the time we go to London, I might be able to set it up in such a way that I can have it be our actual recording device by plugging microphone as well, because get a dock for it, So I'd be able to record and edit off of the thing as well. So I'm very much hoping to be able to do that by the time we go to EGX. And
that
maybe some other projects
positive.
we may do, because we're not that far from each other on the train, so...
A bit further away currently, but,
Well, yes, true, but generally...
Where I am most of the year, yeah.
Yeah, generally. Definitely when you get your new place, because you're moving in September, aren't you?
Yeah.
So when you get your new place... So.
I mean, technically we're slightly further away, because we're slightly further away from the train station, but...
Yes, okay, but I can live with that.
The place is nicer, and, still, you could just come up for the day, and we can do some mini golf or...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Some other interesting stuff, or we can meet halfway if there's something interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what there is interesting in Cornwall, but
yeah, we can work something out. We could do some Burridge and Tom days out vlogs and stuff
fall
like
down
that.
coal mine.
Yeah. Oh no, another hole I fell in the mine.
I like how, even though it's going further south into Cornwall,
we've gone
fall down to coal mine. That's Yorkshire, son. That's not right.
Oh dear, but yeah, that is my so far experience with the iPad Pro, which is generally it's very good, and the sort of hardware they've got in the thing is amazing. Side note: if you get the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte storage models, your RAM gets doubled to 16 gigabytes.
Ooh, baby!
On a tablet.
16. That feels excessive, but then it has got a standard computer processor in it. So.
Well, the thing is, it's also a pro tablet, so it's generally for pros, which is not me, I admit. I feel like I could have just got the MacBook Air.
Yeah, if you'd have waited a couple of weeks for the new iPad Air to come out.
True, but the thing is, I didn't want a screen too small. This is the 12.9-inch screen, so
it's about the same size as my laptop.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still a laptop size, but it's really super skinny as well. But then again, like I said, I could, if I was to look back, I would have probably gone MacBook Air. But then again, no, my luck, they're probably going to release another MacBook Air soon. So,
keynote's scheduled for September or something.
So I'm sure there'll be another MacBook Air. So maybe by the time I'm done with this device, I might, trade in and go that way. But we'll see what happens.
We will find out when we get there.
All right. On to our next topic.
Let's have a look. Oh, that's scrolled way too far up the document. Thanks, me. Right. Amazon has announced launch partnerships to get its over 3,000 low latency internet satellites into space. So, if you are a more regular listener, you will know that we have talked previously about Elon Musk's Starlink. Well, SpaceX's Starlink. It just happens to be Elon Musk's SpaceX. I'm not sure if that worked. My brain's currently struggling to comprehend what I'm saying. This is going very well. But, yeah. So it seems that Amazon is looking to get into the satellite internet game against Musk. It makes sense, given that Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is also trying to rival Musk in the launch platform game. So for those who don't know, Elon Musk, obviously, SpaceX, has the wildly successful Falcon 9 launch platform for space things. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' company, currently only makes basically a space joyriding rocket that sort of takes you up to the edge of space so you can just tickle the outer atmosphere and then fall back to Earth. But they are working on a much larger rocket. And with that, Amazon have announced that they will be partnering with 3 separate launch platform providers to put their satellites in space. Ariane Space, a French company who are very well respected in the space community. In fact, it was a Ariane 5 rocket that puts the James Webb Space Telescope up in space. United Launch Alliance, again, another pretty powerful name in the area. And Blue Origin, of course, would make sense. Use not your own, but kind of like your boss's equipment, basically, even though he's not technically the boss of Amazon anymore. But Jeff Bezos and Amazon basically mean the same thing at this point in time. So, yep, as I've mentioned. So, what is particularly interesting to me about this, as a little bit of a space nerd, so Blue Origin is Jeff Bezos' company, and the ULA rocket that they are planning to use for this, the United Launch Alliance Vulcan, is powered by the same engines that will be powering the New Glenn, which is Blue Origin's rocket for this project and other projects, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, obviously, it's probably all part of a partnership deal, like, oh yeah, you buy our engines and we'll throw you some business kind of thing. But, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But at the moment, none of these rockets actually exist. They're all in development. I think the furthest along is probably the ULA Vulcan. They are manufacturing parts for it, but the engines are yet to be completed. And, you know, you can build the rocket, but if you ain't got the fiery bit on the bottom, it don't go up. That's the actual physics terms for it. The fiery bit make rocket go up. That's how science. We don't know much about the New Glenn's current status because they're all holding it very close to their chest. And to my knowledge, Ariane Space have not even started thinking about manufacturing their rockets, so I don't know what's happening. But I thought this was interesting. The question is, though, and I've just realised I really cannot spell. The question is this going to make low Earth orbit too cluttered? Because there's already 2,000 Starlink satellites up there. And now Jeff's yeah, we're going to put another 3,000 up there. There's a dystopian story about a very cluttered low Earth orbit that basically makes humans trapped on Earth. Thank you, Windows, for that notification. Is this are we going to end up trapped on this Earth by bloody internet satellites? Who knows? But I'm sure the FCC would say no. And that is about it for our main topics today. So let's move on to some mini topics. Speaking of Elon Musk has secured a 9.2%, which is quite a lot for how many shares, stake in Twitter.
Yep, time to find a new platform.
Goodbye, Twitter. it was nice knowing you. Literally, I saw the news and was like, okay, cool. So that makes him, I think that makes him the single largest shareholder in Twitter. He owns roughly 3 times the shares of Jack Dorsey.
And Jack Dorsey stepped down as well, didn't he? He's
But
not
yeah,
part of the thing anymore. I'm
just
assuming
on
he
the
kept his
board.
shares, but he's still on the board, yeah.
Yeah, he'll still be on the board, but at least I think he'll still be on the board. I don't know what the minimum percentage is for board membership, because I think he only has like 3% of the shares. But I don't know. Yeah, $2.4 billion was spent on this. Was spent on the platform that Musk claims he hates because it's not free speech enough. This is something that always kind of amuses me because the idea of the American idea of free speech, as protected by the First Amendment right, only protects you from the government censoring you. It doesn't protect you from private companies.
Privately owned companies, and I've had this argument a lot over the years of running game servers and people getting sad when I ban them. And then they get upset if I ban them because they have a point of view that is not agreeable with the general consensus, or so on. Or they just say something that isn't nice, so I ban them. And then I'm the bad person, and that I am stifling their free speech, to which I then have to remind them that I am a privately run site, and therefore I am not governed by the free speech. Plus, I'm not
even
American.
governed by them. Yeah, we're not even American. There is no free speech statute in British law. There is some in a sort of implied constitution, but how that stands up in court is beyond my area of understanding.
Yes.
So yeah, the stupid part is Musk violated Securities and Exchange Commission laws by not disclosing his stake. I think it's after it goes over 5%.
Right.
You have to declare it, or like after a certain amount or something. And he delayed that until he'd secured this 9.2% stake. So, but the absolute worst part is he's just gone and splashed all these billions of dollars. The fine is going to be like 150,000. It's going to be minuscule.
Yeah, it'd be like, at that point, how dare you?
It's not a fine; it's the cost of doing business.
Yep.
Which it is a whole other argument to get into, which we can do in a bonus episode. So only our patrons get to listen to
have to suffer that
bemoan this nonsense.
Yeah. Join us on Patreon for when we release that sort of stuff.
And of course, some Twitter staff, rightfully, I would say, have fears over what this means for the company. Now, the big question everyone wants to know is, will this mean Donald Trump's coming back to Twitter? Only time will tell.
I mean, 9.2 is a lot, but it's not a majority, so he doesn't actually...
No. Although one interesting piece of news that came out about around the same time is apparently Twitter are working on an edit button.
Yes, I have heard about that.
That means I can fix my spelling at last.
Yay! I don't have to delete the tweet and redo it.
Yay. I mean, to be honest, I barely even consider spelling in my tweets.
Oh yeah, I don't.
If you saw my one earlier announcing my newest blog post, I think they're just getting increasingly verbose my announcement tweets. It's just getting lazier and lazier, I think, mate. For me, or not even lazy. It's like, how do you even announce this? It's like, please go and read this.
Buzz.
I'm not very good at that kind of thing. But anyway. Europe is taking on big tech. On the topic of large, powerful companies, strangely, Europe is ready to fight them. So, new European Union laws will force companies to allow their services to work with each other. This is quite big. Especially for Apple. Or especially against Apple. This is basically what the whole Apple versus Epic Games thing was trying to do. But these new laws will force things such as other app stores for Apple devices and to a certain degree, Android devices. So, for example, they would have to allow you to install like the Google Play Store on an Amazon Fire device, which is just a fork of Android. Is it even a fork or is it just a reskin? I think it's a slight fork.
I think so.
Because it's like all locked to the Fire Store and you have to jailbreak it to put anything else on there. Which I tried and my Amazon Fire tablet is not happy about. I just want to use it as like a fancy light switch. But yeah. Companies failing to meet these requirements could be fined up to 20% of their global turnover. Now, that's a fine. That's not even like you can fudge the numbers and it's just 20% of global profit. That would be like 20% of their global cash flow, I think. So, like, how much money they just take in a year, like, before messing with it. Which is, this is quite a big threat, especially to companies like Apple, where their annual trading is in the scarily high billions a year. And the most interesting part of this law, other than all the other stuff, is that it would allow the European Commission to impose bans on mergers of large companies. So, what would be a good example? Burridge, example. Think.
Oh, no.
It would be like if Facebook and Twitter, one of them bought the other, it would ban that.
Right, okay.
So
I wonder how that'll work with, I'm assuming the law may not come in time, but what would happen in likes of, say, Microsoft buying Blizzard Activision?
I don't know if that would
Activision
apply
Blizzard,
in this case.
Because, both are conglomerates.
Yeah, I don't know, because they both operate in the European Union, but they're technically both American entities, so I'm not sure how that would work. But, I mean, it would probably only affect future things anyway. So, it'd be like here in Britain when two companies try to merge, and then the Competitions Commission goes, "No, you're not actually. Get in the bin." Kind of like with Nvidia and ARM, there was worries over that from the monopolies law people, not the game. The you control everything. Google. But yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens, whether the law actually gets passed, because at the moment it is just a proposal. But this could be very interesting. And that brings us on to our final topic for today. Burridge likes this one. Tom just wrote it down. Kingdom Hearts 4 has been announced.
Yes.
Burridge is excited.
3 years after Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, which is a really short amount of time considering it took them 14 years between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. Admittedly, there was a lot of spin-off games, a couple of remasters on 2 different console generations, but
we won't talk about that.
And Final Fantasy 15 was in development for 15 years, and that was Versus 13 at once upon a time. Wasn't even a mainline game. Yeah, so am I hopeful that Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to come out while I'm still
alive?
No. If it does, I'll be very happy, although the problem is I might be so old that I'll have a heart attack as it comes out.
Which is going to happen first?
I die?
The Elder Scrolls 6. GTA 6.
GTA 6.
Or Kingdom Hearts 4.
Kingdom Hearts 4. Would have been a lot funnier if it was Kingdom Hearts 6, wouldn't it? 666.
Yeah, that would have been. I mean, we've got what?
We've surpassed 3 at least, which is something Valve are incapable of doing. So
literally, they get up to 2.2.2 with Half-Life 2 Chapter 2.
You know what I'd like to see from Valve on the topic of games? Not Half-Life 3. I don't care about Half-Life. Sorry, folks. Portal 3. Give me a Portal 3.
I feel like that'll come as a VR thing, but once they've got rid of like VR making you motion sick.
True, yes.
So that'll come with like super high fidelity screens that trick your brain into thinking you're actually there.
Because Portal 3 would, it would work. Portal was just amazing. I need to play. We should do a Burridge and Tom Plays Portal. That'll be fun. Anyway, rambling on.
Rambling on. We're living up to the name.
Yeah. It looks to be in Unreal Engine 5, which, considering Kingdom Hearts 3 took the step from their... Oh boy. So, Kingdom Hearts was originally on their own engine, whatever engine it was. And then when they remastered them, they put them over to Unreal Engine 4. And then when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, it was Unreal Engine 4 as a base. Now, 3 years later, they've already made the jump to go and do Unreal Engine 5, and it is insane. I sent Tom a picture just before we started of like the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 with Sora, and then Sora from Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, and how different it is in just 3 years.
It is quite concerning how quickly they've done that. I say concerning.
Well, what it tells me is that Kingdom Hearts 3 development ended, and they went straight on to 4. Something tells me they went straight on to 4. They were like, right, let's plan the next arc. Let's get it going. We don't want another 14-year wait. Like, no,
come on, we're not Rockstar.
We really don't want another 14. If we have another 14-year wait, I would be in my 40s. 43, to be exact.
Damn, that's old.
That's how old I'll be by the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. But on your bet, I like this. I feel like we should document this on the podcast.
Right, okay.
I think, based on the fact we already have a lot of trailer and a bit of gameplay, I'm going to go Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah. What year do you reckon?
Oh, what year? 2024.
2024? I'd say 2026.
Well, here's the other thing. GTA 6, I'm going to go with probably around the same sort of time. Maybe a little less. I don't know, because they've announced announced they're working on it, haven't they?
We've seen the least out of GTA 6. So, like, we've had an announcement and that's it. The Elder Scrolls 6, we've at least seen the title card at E3 4 years ago.
Yeah, God knows what.
Oh, damn it, that's a topic we should have covered. They've cancelled this year's E3 again.
E3. Oh, well.
There you go, there's your news, people. E3's cancelled. That's all we need to know.
And nothing of value was lost.
Oh, no, we can't do the late night streams again.
Oh, the late night streams? I probably can't anyway. Goddamn work commitments.
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon so I don't have work commitments.
Yeah, come on. We only need like a couple thousand of you.
Yeah, so my guesses would be Kingdom Hearts 4 on or around 2024. Elder Scrolls 6, 2026 as a minimum. GTA 6, probably 2026 to 2028.
Fair enough.
But then again, I could be surprised. They may be really far in on GTA 6.
Doubt it.
But I highly doubt it because GTA Online is still making them that fat dollar. So
GTA 6 are going to be released as a paid DLC for GTA Online.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. So yes, there's my guesses. Kingdom Hearts 4 is rather ironically going to be the first one of the three. Did I say Elder Scrolls 4 then?
No, you said Kingdom Hearts.
I did say Kingdom Hearts. Okay, cool. Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out a long time ago.
You're doing what I do and say something and then like...
Yeah.
Did I just say that right?
Did I say that? And then I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be 2026, so it's the second one to come out of the three. And then GTA 6 will be the third one to come out of the three, maybe around the same time as Elder Scrolls, maybe just after.
Well, it shall be interesting.
Oh, yes.
To see what happens. But that's for future Tom and Burridge to worry about. So join us whenever these games come out to see what we think about them. And that is us all done for this episode of Burridge and Tom Rambling On. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, you subscribe to Burridge and Tom over on YouTube or follow our podcast on your favourite podcast source. If you really like what you've heard, then you can support us over on Patreon. If you want to get involved with the community, you can join our Discord. The links to all these and more are available over at burridgeandtom.com. As always, I have been Tom.
And I've been Burridge.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back next time with more nonsense.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.